Hi guys, it's Valentine. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to speak about the all-digital console shootout between the Xbox Series S and the PS5 Digital. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome to this channel. On this channel we speak about gaming and tech and other nerdy things that I find interesting. If that's something that you find fascinating as well, please subscribe down below, hit the notification bell. There's a lot more videos and content coming over the coming weeks, and it will be great to see how quickly we can grow this channel to 100 subscribers together. So today's video is about comparing the all-digital offering from Microsoft and Sony. So the Xbox Series S and the PS5 Digital. So if you are deciding between either of those consoles, I'm sure you'll find something useful in this video. I'll be comparing things such as performance, the controllers, the layout of the dashboards, etc. and things like that. Now, what I won't be comparing is the actual ecosystems as such. What I mean by that, I won't be comparing the exclusive games and the franchises that you get with both the consoles. What I mean by that is, if you're a Halo fan, you have to get an Xbox. It's common sense. If you like Gran Turismo, for example, you need a PlayStation. So if you're a fan of either of those consoles, you'll have your own preference and this video won't matter as such. But if you're on the market, I'm sure you'll find something useful in this video. So further ado, let's get right into it. So if you've clicked on this video, there's probably two reasons why you are considering the all-digital offerings of Sony and Microsoft. Now, the first one, and I'll put it bluntly, is the price. So obviously, being all digital, you don't get the disc drives, you will pay less for the console. That's just natural. And if you are price driven, you will naturally look at these two consoles. That's not necessarily a bad thing at all. I will go into why that's not bad later on in the video. But the second reason why you might have clicked on this video is that I personally think, and again this is my opinion, that the all digital consoles are actually the future. So PC gaming has been virtually discless for essentially a decade now, and I think that's where the consoles will be going. So if you're trying to sort of declutter and not buy CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays for games, and you want to get sort of instant access to games, I think going all digital kind of makes sense. So the reason you probably clicked on this video is either one of those two reasons, or maybe just a combination of the two. So regardless of the 2 points on why you clicked on this video, I will cover off the same points because I think they will all resonate between the two reasons. Regardless, I think the first point that I'm going to speak about, and it's kind of the main feature of the Xbox Series S, because fundamentally it has been called a Game Pass machine, and you've guessed it, it's Game Pass. So you can't do this comparison without speaking about Game Pass. So for those that you don't know, Game Pass is essentially a subscription service that you pay monthly, and you have access to a rather big now library of Microsoft first-party games, quite a lot of third-party games as well. You also have access to EA Play, which gives you access to EA games as well. So it is essentially a Netflix of games. Now, PlayStation, they kind of have a competitor. I'm not really going to go into it at all. This isn't the video to do that, but fundamentally Game Pass is a Microsoft exclusive, if you want to call it that. So I think if we're going to speak about the Series S, you have to speak about Game Pass. And I think if you're genuinely price driven and price led, Game Pass is fundamentally the number one reason why you would be looking at the Series S, because the value you get with it is just phenomenal. You get Xbox first party releases on day one free of charge. Now, I know some of you are probably typing away going, but you have to pay a subscription charge for Xbox Game Pass. Yes, I know, but then when you actually consider the amount that you will save, so let's say a game is what, £60, $60 for Xbox, a couple of those over a year pays for itself. And then you get access to a lot more games that you wouldn't necessarily have played before. So I think that's a really, really cool thing. And I think that's probably the number one reason why people would go for the Xbox Series S. For the PS5 Digital and Sony, their pricing structure and the way that they do business is kind of on the opposite. Their games are essentially priced at $69.99 for a full PS5 game. And I think that's, one thing you have to bear in mind if you're price driven. I think you will be getting more value for your money from the Xbox Series S. If Game Pass is the number one reason to get Xbox Series S, performance is the number one reason why you should go for the PS5 Digital. Now, I'm not going to sort of dress it up in any way, shape or form. The PS5 Digital is fundamentally head and shoulders above this Xbox Series S. Now, I'm not saying the Xbox Series S is a bad console. I was actually still blown away when I got it, because it was actually the first console I got. So, to give some background, I had a Xbox One and a PS4 before. I managed to pre-order a Xbox Series S just before release date, so I got mine back in November. So, of course, when I turned it on and started playing the Xbox Series S, it was amazing compared to the older consoles. But what I didn't actually realise when I finally managed to get my hands on the PS5 Digital was just how much better the PS5 Digital is compared to the Xbox Series S. Now, what I mean by that is that the PS5 is a 4K machine. You know, it does 4K up to 120 FPS. The performance it can do is just staggeringly good. I don't think any of the games released at the moment even come close to actually the potential of the consoles. Whereas with the Xbox Series S, it's fundamentally a 1440p gaming machine. Yes, it can do up to 120 FPS, but again, I haven't seen a single game get close to that. And I kind of mentioned this in my video that I did previously on the Xbox Series S, as I actually genuinely think that the Xbox Series S may actually hold back some developers in developing sort of cross-platform games for the Xbox Series S, X, and then also the PS5. I'm not saying that's the case, that's just personally my opinion, but I think the performance difference between the PS5 Digital and the Xbox Series S is definitely worth that £90 to £100 of dollars, whatever currency you want to use. So I think, so if you want to look at it as sort of the value that you're getting for your money, I would say the PS5 gives you actually more value with the performance. And I think the PS5 Digital is going to be a little bit more future-proof as well. A couple of years into the console cycle, when the developers are all up to speed in terms of performance, I think the difference between the Xbox Series S and the PS5 will be just a little bit more visible. Now, it's not all doom and gloom with Xbox Series S. There's actually one feature that I really, really like on the Xbox that I wish the PS5 had, and that's the quick resume. Quick resume is just mind-blowing how great it is. For those that you don't know, it's essentially a way that you can play multiple games, get to a certain point, switch to a different game, and it holds your previous game that you were playing in a suspended state that you can return to and just carry on as normal without having to save, without having to lose any progress, and just carry on, which is crazy, because essentially you can play 3 or 4 games, play a little bit of one game, switch to another game, come back to a couple of days later, and you're right back into the action. And I think that's truly one of the next-gen things that I've been blown away by the Xbox. So as I said, the PS5 Digital, I think, wins the performance hands down. There's no comparison there. But there's a couple of quality of life features that the Xbox Series S has that I think you will appreciate. And especially, I think, if you're coming over from the older consoles, even if you're coming from the older consoles, I think you'll still be very, very happy with the performance level that you're getting with the Xbox Series S. Now, when you compare the two consoles side by side, it's literally like night and day. The PS5 is literally just this big futuristic monolith of a console, whereas the Xbox Series S is this really small minimalistic box. And I think that actually works in the PS5's advantage. What I mean by that is, if you're actually only going to buy one console and you want to get that next-gen game release feeling, if that's a thing, I think the PS5 will feel like this next gen experience. Now, what I mean by that is, you get this futuristic looking console, you get then this new controller that you get the DualSense controller, which I think is phenomenal. So they kept the sort of the design cues the same from the old DualShock, but you get this nice new design. You get adaptive triggers, which are really, really cool, because, for example, if you're playing, a shooting game, the triggers, the resistance can vary depending on the gun you're using. You get like a little speaker as well, just to improve the immersion with the game. Whereas on the Xbox Series S and the X as well, fundamentally, it's the same controller. Now, yes, they have changed it a wee bit. There's more grips, there's a new share button, but fundamentally it kind of feels the same. And that kind of goes for the same for the dashboard layout. So with the Xbox Series S and the X as well, they've kind of essentially just used the Xbox One dash, gave it some very, very small tweaks, but fundamentally it's the same thing. Whereas with the PS5, you get an all new redesigned UI, just feels really, really fresh. And when you turn it on, you go, oh wow, this is a this is new, this is exciting. And I think that's why we play games, right? We want to be sort of immersed in this gaming world. We want to feel excited when we're playing a game. And that's kind of what the PS5 does really, really well. It gives you that new next-gen feeling. Now, I'm not saying what the Xbox does is bad per se. It's still quite good when you turn on a console, you know, even if it's a brand new device and you kind of know what you're doing, you know, you're used to it. It kind of gives you that sort of continuity. And I think it's just a different way of doing it. But if you're like me and you like new things, you like new tech, you do appreciate those little new things that a developer does. It just gives it a nice new fresh feel. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the PS5 just feels newer, more modern, especially with that kind of look. And it's personal preference, but for me, I think the PS5 wins in that department. So the last point we're going to speak about in the comparison today, and that's the storage element. Now, obviously, these two consoles are all digital, so the only way you can get games is by downloading them to your hard drive. So the two devices, so starting with the Xbox Series S, that only has a 500GB SSD, whereas the PS5 Digital has the 825GB SSD. With Xbox Series S, I think 500GB is way too small, because in real world use, that's only just over 360GB. Which is roughly 6-7 full-size games. And then when you think about the fact that you've got also Game Pass to contend with, and there's so many games that you would want to potentially try out, it's a bit of a juggling act, constantly trying to think, you know, what can I delete to download? And I think that's one of the main drawbacks of the Series S. So with the PS5 Digital, you get 825GB. Yes, a bit of it is used for system storage as well, which is a little bit annoying. What I don't like about the PS5 Digital Edition and also the Disc Edition is that you don't get the 1TB hard drive like you do on the Series X. Regardless, you can still upgrade the storage with external drives both on the Series S and the PS5 Digital. Obviously that will cost a bit more money, which can sometimes defeat the point if you're looking at the cheaper alternatives or the consoles. Obviously, with games getting bigger and bigger, it's just something we need to bear in mind with. It's not the end of the world, but it's just something you have to be mindful of when you are looking at games to download. So there you go, guys. That is my comparison between the Xbox Series S and the PS5 Digital. I don't think there's an overall winner. I think, as I said in the video, the Xbox Series S has the Game Pass as its main thing. The PS5 Digital, obviously, hands down, is the best performer out of the two. It comes down to personal preference. I think if you're generally price-driven or price-led, whatever you want to call it, the Xbox Series S, I think, is the way to go. If you're not too fussed about Game Pass and you want to get the best performance for your money, I think the PS5 is the way to go. But please leave a comment down below. Let me know what console you're going to get. I'm actually interested to see what people think between the two consoles. And actually let me know if you're thinking of getting both the consoles, because I think a lot of people are actually thinking of getting the Series S that may not necessarily have thought about getting a Microsoft device, because I think the Series S has definitely captured the imagination of an audience that may not have previously thought about getting an Xbox. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. As I said at the start of the video, please subscribe. There's a lot more content coming over the coming weeks. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.